Welcome to another Filmfest Bremen talk. My name is Ilona Rieke. I am the Artistic Director of Filmfest Bremen, and it's an honor to have a guest from a film in the innovation category today here with me in our virtual studio. I like you and to welcome Marta Popivoda with the film Landscapes of Resistance. Hi, Marta.
Hello. Hi.
Thanks for joining us today to talk a little about your film. And first of all, I think this film is a beautiful tribute to a very strong woman. So for me, the personal and the historical components of the film are the two major points that you managed to weave perfectly together in your film. Maybe starting from the personal, you can give us a little bit of an overview how you approached making this film, because you can tell it's a labor of love that probably took many years to make.
Yes, definitely. I mean, first of all, thank you for the invitation. It's really an honor to screen the film at Filmfest Bremen and in the innovation section. We have been working on the film for about more than 10 years, actually. My main character is Sonja Vujanovic, who was actually one of the first partisan women in Yugoslavia, who, as a political prisoner on her journey during the Second World War, ended up in Auschwitz, and she was part of the actually resistance in the women's camp in Auschwitz. So definitely a very strong, powerful woman with also amazing ability of storytelling. I met Sonja because she's a grand aunt of my partner in love and work, Anna Vujanovic, and who is also actually co-writer of the film and dramaturg on this project. And when I first met Sonja, because I wanted to meet her because of her story, I knew a bit about it. I discovered actually how powerful storyteller she is, and this is definitely what drove me to making a film. And immediately, like the next time when I wanted to meet her next time with the camera on, I proposed to everyone to make a film with Sonja, and this is how the whole process started.
For me, what also fascinated me personally was that usually you see the male kind of view of war a lot more than the female, and her actually being like a very active member of the resistance and her views of it, and also the way you weave it together with the pictures of her being old and frail but still having this absolute spirit of liveliness, of compassion, and also her beliefs seem to be so strong to the very end of the film. She just carries this humanity with her, right? So for me, was that female perspective something you were also intrigued by, especially to address this?
Yes, definitely. This was something very important for Anna and me to really finally hear this, what we call womanly face of the war. I mean, we call it like that in reference to Svetlana Alexievich and her book, which is called Unwomanly Face of the War, where she actually interviewed many women anti-fascist fighters in Soviet Union, and discovered that there is a specific perspective on the war from side of women, how they remember this experience and what was important for them in relation to the dominant historical narrative. And as we know, like, history is written mostly by white heterosexual men, and we wanted to intervene into this. You mentioned at the beginning there is a very strong also personal perspective. It's not a historical film in like a classical sense. It's not just about Sonja. It's also about us who are making this film today and why we are making it. And at some point of the process, Anna and I wanted to reveal in the film itself that we are two women, that we are a queer couple, and wanted to reveal actually the position from which we are making this film and why this story is important for us today.
And I think that's beautifully done, because it doesn't take away from the other story, it adds to it. Also, it adds to the relevance of the film today, and like all these different ways of resistance, also these ideas of nationalism, of like patriarchy. It's like all sort of intertwined within the film, but in a very subtle way. So with the diary entries and the letters superimposed on the story. So I like the current take that you put on the film. And was it something?
I mean, this was a challenge, not to be, I mean, because her story and her experience is really extraordinary, and it's not, of course, comparable to ours, directly comparable. And we didn't want to compare ourselves to her. We wanted to, in a way, contextualize and show, inscribe our bodies and our position in the film, just saying to whom is this story important today, and also in a way to activate this idea what partisan means, like how to politicize yourself in a contemporary moment and in this contemporary situation inspired by Sonia. But we didn't want to try to compare our story or something like that, because of course she's the main character, and her story is really exceptional and powerful in so many ways. And we wanted to, we sometimes say that we wanted to build this alternative monument to Sonia, because also, I mean, in former Yugoslavia, there are monuments of women anti-fascist and fighters during the Second World War, but there are almost like there is actually no monuments for people who survived Auschwitz, and this is also something that we found kind of problematic, and wanted to make this alternative, effective monument to Sonia. It's also important to say that Sonia is not a big heroine actually, and that we wanted to work, I mean, with this concept of, I mean, we wanted to work with the concept of hero from a critical perspective, because we think that for a change to happen in a society, for a revolution, it's really necessary that we are all part of it. We don't need to be big heroes. We can just politicize ourselves and take an active participation. And in a way, for change to happen, all of us need to be small heroes in a way, which Sonia was, because she also didn't consider herself a big hero.
And she had to suffer so much loss. Also, she lost her partner in the war, I think, her first partner. And all of this is like also the personal experience, the grief. You have to tackle this, like, and still sort of fight for your beliefs, or stick to your ideals. And this is also like the personal side of her life is also very impressive, I find. And I think she sadly passed away during post-production or sometime before the film was completed. Did she watch some of it? Because it would have been like super interesting to me how she reacted to your visualization of it as well, or?
Unfortunately, no, because we didn't start editing when she passed away, so we didn't have a chance to show her some materials. But definitely at the end of the shooting with her, I think she was very happy that we are making the film, and that she's because she always wanted to write a book about her experience. She finished literature, and she wanted to write a book, but I think it was very difficult to confront these memories also alone, because when you are writing, you're alone in this process. And having a possibility to tell your story to this new generation, which is also very, which cares about your story so much, I think it was something important to her that this will be preserved as a memory. I think she was very happy at the end of the shooting that we are making this film, because people who will see the film or who saw the film, they will notice that her storytelling is really exceptional, and what we try to do dramaturgically in the film is really to kind of construct, not construct, but it's not a confession. It's not about all her life. It's really like the film is composed out of this, what we call verbal images or scenes of memory. and compose as a film scenes. So actually, when you listen to her, you see the images. The storytelling is producing images in your mind, and then these images in the directorial approach are confronted with the landscapes where the events from Sonia's stories happened.
And this is also one of the reasons why the film is obviously featuring in the innovation categories, the way those landscapes are captured on film. It's like, I don't know how much your DOP was involved in this, or because it's just beautifully crafted, and sometimes Sonia's storytelling, as you said, is exceptional, but you hear her voice like off screen, and then you have these beautiful visualizations of the places, current day pictures of the places where those struggles took place, or her life took place, or she was imprisoned. All of these, just the structures of the buildings, the landscape today, sometimes in comparison to what the horror she describes, makes for a super like intense viewing experience. So that was probably part of your concept, but your DOP, the pictures that are created in the film. So how did that relationship between you and the DOP work?
Yeah, actually, I mean, I would say that one important instance are Anna and me as a co-writers. Also, this idea about multiplying gazes in cinema came from our discussion, which was about a concept that Anna invented called landscape dramaturgy, and then definitely the collaboration with the DOP Ivan Markovic and with the editor of the film Jelena Maksimovic was there, like to try to find the best way to make this alive. So I mean, it's a very important aspect of the film, where we really try to observe this landscape from multiple perspectives at the same time. And then we travel through them in a very kind of specific way. Yeah, it's. I would say that the inspiration was also drawn from constructivist and cubist landscapes in visual arts, and I think also that this idea of multiplying gazes and the multiplying perspectives is it's also a political question. So we wanted to work with that. When I went on locations with Ivan, DOP of the film, we really tried to experience the space and these landscapes in a not in a way that we wanted to illustrate Sonia's story. We really wanted to capture how it looks like today and what we found there. Because first there was a research to find these places and areas of where the events from Sonia's stories happen. And then we really let ourselves experience these landscapes, and in a non-illustrative way, more being present there and trying to also maybe make by, I would say, two-dimensional means something which is three-dimensional for us to experience the space and travel through the space and time in a way. Because also this is kind of, I would say that in the film we can feel this confrontation and layering of different times, like Sonia's time and our time when we are making the film.
Absolutely, and yes, I think all of these different things, also the writing, the drawings that are sometimes included. So this was all part of your plan from the beginning, or when you started shooting the interviews with her, was it at first to conserve like this kind of history and this time capsule, and the rest was built on the interview part, or did all of this develop like from the very start that you wanted to build this like multi-layered like universe to kind of not just sort of listen to something historical, but to actually get to experience those places?
Yeah, actually, I mean, everything started from definitely this urge to capture this story, and in the film you see this DV footage, which looks like a private archive. This is also made for the film, because actually these are some of the first shots we made when we started working on the film, because it was a long time ago. And then, I mean, capturing the interviews, because Sonia was already very old. She died with 97 years old, and we started when she was maybe 86 or something like this. And then through the time and working on these stories, then other layers came into place, and with the idea, as you said, to activate this story today. I must mention also that these drawings that we have superimposed on the images are the only material which was not made for the film itself, but these are drawings of a famous partisan artist, Pivo Karamatijević, who actually draw everyday life of partisans, because he was a partisan himself. And why to have these drawings there? Because somehow for Sonia and for me as an artist, talking about collective body is very important. And here in this film, we have one body telling a story of a collective partisan body, let's say. And somehow I felt really urged to inscribe other bodies in the landscapes where Sonia went through, because she was not alone. And in her story, she always mentions that, I mean, other people, even when we see her number from Auschwitz, the tattoo of her number from Auschwitz, she doesn't say this is my number. She says this is a number from 110 women who were deported from Belgrade to Auschwitz. And here it's really exceptional, because she makes it in her story a collective experience, which it was, yeah, definitely, even also for political prisoners, as Sonia was.
So what I find surprising about this film is that it didn't left me with a feeling of desperation, but rather hope, which is very hard to pull off with this kind of topic.
Yeah.
I think this is also like the resistance nowadays, or that we encounter, is like a lot of it is also violence driven. And for me, at least it felt like Sonia's resistance, even though she had to resort to violence, obviously, during the war times, but came from like a very human, very sort of like place of love. So this made a nice change also, like for today's movements of, let's say, resistance towards nationalism, which is also on the rise again in a lot of European countries as well, as we experience. So it gave this like flame of hope to me personally. So was it something you also wanted to get across, like the ways that it's possible to put up resistance nowadays?
Yeah, definitely. This was maybe one of the things that was really present from the beginning. This what you can feel from her story is that resistance is always possible. And I thought, like, okay, if we have a story of a woman who was in Auschwitz, which we consider as a super totalitarian space where nothing was possible, and we hear a story of resistance, it's really something very powerful for us today to kind of activate ourselves, because we live in neoliberal capitalism, and somehow it's we think, we believe that nothing, I mean, the change is not possible. And for me, Sonia was very inspirational, and I thought I wanted to share this with others, and I hope that she can be inspiration for us today to also put up resistance to new fascisms that are happening now.
So thank you very much for being part of this year's festival with the film, and I think it's a beautiful monument to Sonia's life, and also to the next generation, carrying the torch of resistance, hopefully, into the future. So thank you for being part of the festival, and it was a pleasure to talk to you today a little bit more about the film Landscapes of Resistance.
Thank you so much, and bye-bye. Have a great screening.
You too. Goodbye.